UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Engage.
78 years have passed since the days of the original USS Enterprise. Now a new Galaxy starship has been designed.
Transporter Chief, beam our listeners aboard. Welcome to Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast on the United Federation of Podcast Network. I am normally head of astrophysics, but I think this week I'm head of log shed building and deck painting. Yes, that's what I've been doing this week while I've been on holiday. So, joined with me today, as normal, we've got Councillor Amy Nelson and Diplomatic Standard Bearer Kevin Scharf. How are you guys today?
Doing great.
Peachy
Another week
keen.
down. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let me explain the log shed building. We have a wee outdoor fire pit thing and I needed somewhere to keep the logs. So when I floored the loft, I came across lots of kind of old bits of wood in the loft. Don't know why they were there. So I lobbed them in the shed for storage, not knowing what to do with them. And I decided to build a small shed for the logs that go in the fire. And I'll send you a picture. It looks pretty nifty.
It does.
That's why my name is Joseph, because I'm a carpenter now.
Hey, you guys, what about First Contact Day?
Yeah, that was fun.
It was quite fun, wasn't it? We found out quite a lot of new snippets of information.
Yes. It's a couple of trailers for some seasons. Discovery 4.
Picard
2. Oh.
I was really surprised we didn't get a Prodigy trailer. I thought for sure... I mean, we got the reveal of what Janeway looks like and how Janeway is there, but I thought for sure we would get a trailer. So that's a little disappointing, but other than that, I thought it was really fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, the most intriguing thing that I saw was the tablet on Picard's desk that looks...
Everybody's been talking
about it. The tab that looks the same as the tablet from the DS9 episode, The Reckoning. The one where they find it in the ancient Bajoran village at an archaeological dig. Cisco kind of sneaks it away to the station to analyse and ends up getting really frustrated and smashes it into lots of pieces, and out escapes a wormhole alien, a prophet and a Paraith that then possess Kira and Jake, I think. So I wonder why a tablet that looks very similar to that is on Picard's desk. And I think it's Picard's desk on the La Serena and not Picard's desk in La Barre, France. I'm
they
not sure.
recreated his whole house from La Barre in the holodeck on La Serena, didn't they?
Right,
Yeah.
yep, they did.
Because every set of quarters has its own kind of holoprojector, so your bedroom becomes whatever you want it to be.
I need that. I just want mine to look clean.
Yeah, holographically remove the dirt.
And you guys, cue The Trial Never Ends. I'm so excited.
Interesting.
That was a surprise. I was
Who
not
knows?
expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not expecting to see Q on Picard.
Who knows how it's going to play out?
Yeah.
No clue. It'll be a surprise, whatever it is.
Oh, and I love Discovery, so I thought the Discovery trailer was great. I think that woman is the Federation Council president, and she looks like she's half Cardassian and half Bajoran.
Oh, I didn't get the Bajoran. I definitely got
she's got the Bajoran nose ridges too.
Oh, interesting.
And we have a date, at least, for Lower Decks, August 12th.
I love that show so much.
I'm hoping that's the beginning of Star Trek every week.
Yeah.
Because that's the goal, right? And so if we've got Lower Decks and then Discovery, maybe Picard after that.
And Prodigy.
Throw in some Prodigy.
And then Strange New Worlds. They're filming that right now too.
Exactly. So we've got a lot coming up.
And then, like 2 days after First Contact Day, they announced, oh, by the way, there's a new Star Trek movie coming out in 2023.
Yes.
We've got a date for that too. We don't know anything about it except J.J. Abrams is producing, but
I sure hope it's Kelvin. I would
You want it to be
love to
Kelvin?
have. I do. I want a fourth Kelvin movie with my lovely actors who I want to see again in Star Trek.
That makes sense.
maybe it'll
if it's
be
Kelvin.
Kelvin the Next Generation with a new Picard and Riker and Troy.
That would be interesting. I just want to see Chris Pine again.
Well,
It'll be all their stunt doubles from Insurrection. Oh, guys, shall we move on and look at some feedback from our Mirror Universe TNG episode,
sounds good.
where we rewrote Shades of Grey into a Mirror Universe episode, and it was quite the epic episode. I would quite like to see this. Amy, do you want to start us off?
Logs accessed.
Absolutely. We got a message from Kevin Reitzel. Hello, my co-host on Union Federation. So he says, loved your Trek pod talking Shades of Grey and rewriting into a Mirror Mirror episode. That was a fun listen. With your permission, I'd like to borrow that idea, but change it up a tad for my Highlander podcast. Well, absolutely, Kevin. We're very glad that you like the idea so much so that you are going to use it. I mean, that's the best form of flattery.
I feel like I should be on that, being like from Scotland, Highlander country. I should be in that episode.
Kevin, Joe.
Hi.
Joe, Kevin.
We'll talk later. We've got a comment from Ruth Ann Amsden. Ooh, you have to read Dark Mirror by Diane Duane. It is TNG's only incursion into the Mirror universe, and it is delicious. And then Lynn Payne seconds that recommendation, saying it is a great book. Thank you, Ruth and Lynn, for that. If it's an audiobook, then it's certainly something that I might come across. So thank you.
Well, that was followed up by a comment from Greg Cox, who says he can't resisting plugging his novella in the book Star Trek Mirror Universe, Glass Empires, which features Mirror Picard versus Mirror Borg. Do you think Mirror Borg give technology to people?
Yeah, they
Instead of take it.
unassimilate, yeah. They're like Canadian Borg. They're just very polite and
this.
nice.
Yes. Sorry.
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 Oh my
Thanks.
gosh. Well, we have some books to read, you guys. So thanks. And hi, Greg. That's
And
awesome.
that doesn't also mention that there are comics set in the Mirror Universe with TNG characters. So, yeah, look for those too. I'm glad people enjoy
None
those.
of which have been covered in Ego Moss's Star Trek graphic novel
No?
collection, of which I have 140 issues, taking up 3 shelves in my bookcase. No TNG. None.
Well, I have been reading Star Trek: The Next Generation: Broken Mirror. That is the that's the one that is on Hoopla, the library app. So if you want to read a Mirror Universe TNG story, that's a good one too. It's written by Scott and David Tipton,
and illustrations by J.K. Woodward. Well, you guys, we have a new patron, Josh Brewington, who is a Galaxy Class listener and says, keep up the good work. Well, Josh, thank you so much, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks, Josh.
Welcome,
it's always
Josh.
good to have new patrons. Yeah.
This is the captain. Senior officers will report to my ready room immediately.
Hope you continuing to enjoy listening, and we'll just shout out your name for a 4th time. Josh Brewington is a new patron, so thank you.
This is the captain. Senior officers will report to my ready room immediately.
Listeners, I would like to introduce our guest this week, the 2nd time we've had a guest on the Galaxy Class podcast. We know her as Judge Advocate General Officer Phillipa Louvois. Oh, that was a tongue twister. In real life, she is known as an actor, a musician, a songwriter of super fame that I just realised today. And she goes by Amanda McBroom. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you
Lovely to see
very
today.
much. I am delighted to be here.
Can I start off with just a really general question? Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in show business, whether that's music or acting? What was the genesis of you taking that route in your career?
My daddy was in the movies. My mother was a drama teacher. So,
You didn't have a choice.
I did not have a choice. It was in my genes from the minute I emerged, and they always encouraged me. And my dad would make my costumes, and my mother would do my makeup whenever there was a children's theater production. Although I was usually playing the handsome prince because I was taller and more masculine than most of the boys. Yeah, but I've been doing theater since I was 9 years old. And bits of musical theater, and just anything that anybody would do. I knew I wanted to be an actor. And when I was about 12, 13, maybe, my aunt bought me a guitar. And then I decided that I was Judy Collins and I was going to become a folk singer. So I started singing and playing when I wasn't doing plays or whatever. And then I decided that I was going to be Liza Minnelli and be a big Broadway musical star. And the acting thing was always what kept me afloat. But I was, by about the middle of my 20s, I started just as a hobby writing songs. I never let anybody hear them except my then boyfriend, now husband, but I was writing songs, and eventually a dear friend of mine who has been my songwriting partner since 1974, when we were two, she made me get up on stage and start singing my own songs, and I discovered, oh, I like this too. And then, of course, the whole world turned upside down when my song The Rose was chosen to be in the movie, and Bette Midler sang it, and that changed everything. And then everybody kept saying, oh, you're a songwriter. And I kept saying, no, I'm not. I'm an actress. I'm an actress. And my husband finally said, honey, what's paying the mortgage? Don't you think you should take a little responsibility for the fact that you can also write songs? So then my career sort of took a left turn, and I stopped doing a lot of television, and I started doing concert work. And what I do now is predominant, unless anybody wants to offer me a job on stage, you betcha. But mostly I'm singing and songwriting all over the world.
Wow. It's a very kind of full career you've had. I think music,
it's really fun.
Music is really important to me. I'm a musician as well.
What's your instrument?
I play the piano mostly. I do play the clarinet, but I would never play it for anybody because it's really ropey. You know the way when children play the violin and it sounds like they're trying to kill some cats? That's the way I sound on the clarinet. So much better at the piano. So it's music for me has been really important. It's gone with me throughout my entire life, and it's just that solid component that I have that brings me constant joy in life. So I really get where you're coming from. I think we're going to ask you some Star Trek related questions, not trivia questions. We don't expect you to have a deep knowledge of the minutiae of Star Trek. It's more about your time appearing in The Measure of a Man.
Before we go, I want you to notice, I don't know if you can see my earrings. I'm bringing.
Oh, that's a little Enterprise.
Yes, it's the Enterprise. Somebody gave these to me a long time ago. And every once in a while, I just put on my Enterprises and go out. And it's so funny to be like in a restaurant or something, and people will be talking, and all of a sudden they look, and they say, you're wearing the Starship Enterprise. I say, yes, I am. Thank you.
I was in it. You know. So, Kevin, do you want to ask the first question?
Sure. We just wanted to know how familiar you were with Star Trek before you got cast, and what the casting process was like, and how welcomed were you on that show? I mean, the show was really fairly new still at the time when you were on.
Next Generation, yeah. I've been addicted to Star Trek since Captain Kirk. You know, since William Shatner, that it was my Bible when I was young. I can remember almost every stupid costume that any woman wore on that show ever. I loved it so, and it was always a fantasy of mine that someday I would get to be on Star Trek. And it just sort of, it didn't. I said this is never going to happen. And then I'm trying to remember who the director was. I think it was somebody that I had met, called me in to audition, and I went into the audition and scared to death, thinking this is never going to happen. And they said, yep, you got it. What? I get to meet Patrick Stewart. Oh, be still my heart. And so I just auditioned with a whole lot of other people and I got the gig.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
was just wonderful. It was so lovely that everybody on that show was adorable, was lovely and funny. And they were always playing practical jokes on each other. Jonathan Frakes used to drop rubber spiders down the back of people's shirts. Oh yeah. They played terrible practical jokes on each other.
Oh my gosh. I always thought it was Brent Spiner was the one doing all the jokes.
Oh, no, Brent was lovely, but he wasn't the demon. Jonathan was the devil. And my one piece of Patrick Stewart trivia, aside from the fact that he's gorgeous and lovely and charming and has the best looking bare feet in town, is that his secret desire was to be a country western singer.
Oh my goodness.
And he would sing around the set.
Wow.
Frequently, they'd all break into sound. I kept saying, why doesn't somebody write an episode about the talent show on the Enterprise? Because every one of those people, when they were not in costume, was singing or dancing or whatever. Because, of course, they were all multi-talented actors. Nobody listened to me.
I would. Do you know, we'd all watch it.
Oh. Wow.
If it was a Star Trek musical episode, and if you were in it, that would just make it all the better. So
I totally agree.
I think they only performed classical music and copyright-free jazz on the Enterprise.
Or yes, things that the public domain only.
Yes.
Amy, you have a question, and it kind of relates to how sexy Jean-Luc was, doesn't it?
Yeah. I recently watched it again, specifically focused on you, and I love how strong and confident you portray Phillipa. And I was wondering, did you have a backstory on your relationship or Philippa's relationship with Jean-Luc? Because there is some definite sexual tension, and even like in the script where you're like, you'd like to bust a chair across my teeth, and ain't love grand, and he's a damn sexy man. Like, you were right there head to head with Patrick Stewart, just going at it. And I was wondering, did you have a backstory for those two characters?
Oh yeah. They were a hot item at some point. I figured it was a few years back. And she was ambitious, and so was he. And I think that my decision was that he didn't like the fact that she was ambitious. And so I think that was part of what broke them up. But they had a thing going. Yeah.
Because there's that sort of hate you, love you going on there. Yeah.
More love than hate.
Yes. And then they go out to dinner and she's like, are you buying? Oh my gosh, I love it. Just the wit and just how you portrayed. And again, I love seeing strong women on TV. And I felt definitely
Amy.
You portrayed that excellent.
It was a way fun thing to do.
I think that's one of the things that people like about your character. It's a strong portrayal of a woman that isn't the kind of the skimpily dressed kind of love interest of the week that we got like through TV everywhere. You had a senior role to play. You were essentially above Picard. You weren't an admiral, but you were the judge. I
was the judge.
And you were strong, you were knowledgeable, you were confident, and you could give Picard a run for his money. But you were also, you had this other side where you were fair. The character had a fairness. You judged it as fairly as you could. I think at the beginning, as fans, we don't like the character because you're brought in to make a judgment on somebody that we love in the form of Data. Yeah. And then the character of Phillipa grows on us as fans, and then you make the right decision, so we end up loving you. Yeah. If it had gone the other way, then you would be hated forever. Not you, Amanda, but Phillipa. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because now that I think back, and watching so many episodes of Star Trek from the beginning, from the Shatner days, and then into the Next Generation. Strong women strong women in unsexy clothes, in uniform, became much more of a thing right around that time. Before then, the women had all had, the low cut, and they were the sex toys, aside from the few members of the crew. But it was sort of like following the sociological path of what was happening with women, just in life in general. For real, was that strong women were becoming a more powerful force. So it's kind of cool that it was reflected in that episode.
We discussed Measure of a Man on our podcast a few weeks ago, and the idea kind of got floated. I came up with this idea that hasn't there been a Star Trek series that is about the legal side of things? And was there ever any talk about bringing Phillipa back for another courtroom? Did you ever hear any?
I wish.
Yeah, I wish too, because I love her.
I wished. Yeah, I thought it was a great character, but I think that they had their stock characters. They had what they call their Bible was already set, and bringing her back, especially since there was sort of a romantic interest, and he has to be allowed as many romantic interests as possible. Yeah. I think that they definitely decided it was a one-off. Although I would have. Yeah,
that's too bad because we loved her. Like I think to see somebody who goes toe to toe with Captain Picard, Patrick Stewart, is astounding. So
it is. Yeah, it gave me the chills. And I had known about Patrick Stewart before that. There was an English series that he did called, was it Rome? No, I, Claudius. You guys ever watch I, Claudius, which is one of my all-time favorite, ancient Rome Greek soap opera things. And he still had some hair back then. And when he was very young, and he was such a terrific actor. And then I thought, I love this man. And then when I got a chance to work with him years later, I was going, woohoo, thank you.
We watched the BBC production of Hamlet when I was in high school, and he played Claudius in that. So, yeah. Oh, amazing.
Have you ever seen I, Claudius?
No, I haven't sat down to watch that.
It is so worth watching. It's really well done, and it's so many. John Hurt is in it, and Derek Jacobi is the lead in it, and Sean Phillips. All these great English actors, and I made friends with Sean Phillips because she had she'd come to see me in concert, and she had sung some of my songs, and we were talking about it, and she said, "Darling." And it was this huge hit in England. She said, "Darling, we all thought it was a piece of trash." And it would go anywhere. And we just laughed and took our checks home. We had no idea it was going to become this big cultural ooh.
Wow. Definitely on my list. And I know the name Sean Phillips. Yeah, Sean Phillips was in the what's his name? Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune, the David Lynch version.
Dune.
Yeah, 1984. Yeah, she played the Reverend Mother.
Yes, she did. We loved Dune. Dune was good.
Patrick Stewart was in that too, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he was. He played Gurney Halleck.
That's right. Yes. That's right. He did.
Wow.
They've supposedly they've done a reshoot of Dune, they have. Which I'm going to be very curious. I hope it's as good as. I loved the first one.
Yeah, me too. I grew up with it, so before I read the books, and I didn't really know what it was about when I was really young. So then I read the books, and I didn't
know what it was about when I was in college. It was so confusing.
Yeah. Interestingly, the movie that is coming out in October this year, and it's been directed by Denis Villeneuve, the Canadian director who did Arrival and Blade Runner 2049.
Arrival
so he's done
beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, I think he did it to prove that he could do Dune, because he's a huge Dune fan.
Oh, I love you, what you know.
I know tidbits of sci-fi information. Anyways, we have some listener questions for you, Amanda, if that's okay. One of our listeners, Jim Stoffel, asks, how does it feel to be in one of the most beloved episodes of TNG? And did you think that you would, 32 years later, you would be getting invited onto podcasts to talk about this character?
I am beyond thrilled that I was given the enormous gift of that show. It was one of the high points of my career in so many ways, acting wise, the fact that people stop me in the street, that I'm on a baseball card. The whole thing astounds me. I'm truly, really, really happy, and I had no idea that it would go on as long as it has gone on. Now, my next dream is I'm hoping to get to a Star Trek convention.
You know, there's one coming up in August in Las Vegas. I'm just saying.
That would be lovely.
We'll have to reach
Las
out
Vegas
to
in August.
Creation
Everybody's favorite time to be there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That you're a Canadian. You would think so.
Exactly.
No. I mean, I went to the last convention in Las Vegas and didn't leave the hotel for a week because air conditioning is a wonderful adventure.
Yes, it is. That's the reason why Las Vegas exists.
Exactly.
Amanda, I've been going to the Las Vegas convention for the last few years, and being from Scotland where the temperature barely gets over, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, I loved being in Vegas. I was like a lizard out in the sun. I would just lie and try and soak up the heat to warm my frozen bones up.
So we have a question from our new patron, Josh Brewington. He said, "It's such a wonderful episode with great writing and acting all around. As a viewer, I always felt like this was one of the most tense episodes to watch between the characters in The Next Generation. How does that tension play out on set between the actors? And he'd also like to know if you've kept up with Patrick Stewart or other cast members over the years."
The set was hilarious. The tension was all once the camera started to roll. I mean, everybody takes their job very seriously. Right. But no, between the spiders down the back and the singing and songs, it was a truly hilarious atmosphere, which I felt right at home in. And I'm sorry, what was the other half of the question?
Have you kept up with Patrick Stewart? Have you talked to him since then?
I occasionally get to in touch with Patrick. Whenever I've been in New York and he's been in a play, I would go I would communicate with him, and he'd invite me backstage afterwards to go sit down and talk, which was a thrill. And I stay in touch with Brent Spiner occasionally. One of the fun things about Brent was we were on the set one day and he came up and he sang into my ear. My nickname when I was in college was Mandy. And he came up and he sang into my ear, "Mandy McBroom came into my room." And I turned around and I looked at him and I said, What? And he said, "You dated my roommate in college."
Wow.
I had no idea.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just goes to show what a small world show business is.
It's true.
Well, we have another listener, Michael Bentley, says, "Mine is less of a question and more of just a genuine admiration of the great team she made with Patrick Stewart and how moving she was in her judgment about whether or not Data had a soul. Her little nonverbal reaction when Data said that he'd been intimate with Tasha was a highlight of the episode for me. I always feel that at that moment, Louvois seriously began to realize that Data might really be a person, and it was very moving, both from her and from all the other cast members involved. I deeply feel that this was by far the best episode of The Next Generation in its first 2 seasons, and it's still one of the greatest episodes in the whole of Star Trek. The courtroom scenes and the conversation between Picard and Guinan about slavery gives me the chills every time, and everyone in the cast was magnificent."
That's lovely to hear. Yeah, when you think about it, it's very pertinent today too. How do we treat those who are different?
Yes.
Yeah, who's a human being?
Yes. Oh.
Exactly.
And who's disposable.
That's one of the things we talk about why we love Star Trek in the first place. It's that exploration about what it is to be human. The way they tell stories in Star Trek, they always have a point and a special meaning to them. And it's these discussions that we have that kind of try and bring out those meanings. So thank you, Michael, for that.
Indeed.
I was just going to ask, I'm not going to be as deep as the other two have been, but did you have any interactions with Whoopi Goldberg when you were on set?
No. Whoopi, unfortunately, I wish I had, but I think her shooting days and mine were different. So no, I wish. I love that woman.
Amanda, last Star Trek question before we move on to the other work that you've been involved in. This is from our listener, Casey Pettitt. Have you seen Star Trek Picard the most recent Star Trek incarnation with Patrick Stewart in it. If you're aware of it, do you have any idea about what your character is up to some 20, 30 years in the future? And would you reprise your role as Phillipa Louvois?
I have not yet seen it. It's on my major list to see it. I so wish that they would revive their relationship. Oh yes, there are a couple of old folks, fogies now, but we could sit on a park bench together and get philosophical, which I would love that. You cross your fingers and say, hopefully somebody will say, hey, let's do a autumn romance. Okay, fine by me.
I'm sure this podcast will release next Friday, so we'll send it to the right people and hopefully CBS will be in touch. Not that we have any power to make anything happen. But hey, we are nobody in the Star Trek universe. So
that is not true. You are citizens of the Star Trek universe. Are you kidding? Without you, there is no Star Trek.
Well, this is true. It needs the fans. True.
Okay, I of course love you in Star Trek, but when I went to your website and saw all that you've done and did the research, I just am in awe of your amazing talent and how versatile you are. And I was listening to your songs and, of course, The Rose. And I listened to your albums, Voices, and, it's one that I didn't know how to say. Charade?
The chanson. Chanson. That's the music of Jacques Brel. Yeah.
I just was so taken with your talent and was wondering, when you write a song, are you writing, I'm assuming the lyrics, but the melody and the harmonies? Like, I was so impressed with your harmonies with all of your songs and just the talent. Like, I sing, and I usually sing alto, so I hear those harmonies, and I just felt like they are so brilliantly done in each of your songs. Are you writing that? Are you writing the instruments and everything?
No. Half the time I write both lyrics and music. The other half of the time, I write with other people, predominantly my very best friend. Her name is Michelle Browerman, and she's a brilliant songwriter in her own right and a great composer. And she does all the instrumental arranging. She's, just such a smart, aside from the very first album that I did back in the days of LPs, which was with a wonderful man named Lincoln Mayorga, who had been the piano player for Bette Midler for the film The Rose. And they had asked me they were debating whether Bette should sing it or I should sing it at the end of the movie. And thank God they chose Bette, because, it was really good for her and it was really good for me. But I met the piano player, and that was Lincoln, and he had his own label at the time. And so he did the first albums. But once I went into the land of CDs and started my own record label, Michelle was my arranger. And she's brilliant to this day.
You started your own label in 1985. And I was wondering, why did you feel that you needed your own label? Was something not working with other labels?
Nobody wanted me. Nobody wanted me. Any of the big labels would say, oh, no, we have a Bette Midler or we have a Bernadette Peters, because I wasn't a rock and roller. And I wasn't really a folkie. My songs were a little bit too weird, esoteric, theatrical. So I couldn't get a deal anywhere. So I said, well, screw that. And my husband said, go for it. So my manager and I formed our own record label.
And that is so amazing and empowering. And what an amazing example. You create it. Yeah. You create what you want.
If nobody's going to give it to you. You have to do it yourself.
Oh, I love that.
I've been listening to the album Voices this week.
Oh, yes.
It really struck me that all the songs were little short stories, all with their own little characters. And I couldn't help but visualize the storyline taking place as I listened to the songs, especially Southbound Train, the track 1 on the album. It is... Now you're trying not to cry looking at the sky on this southbound train. And you can't help but visualise, and I don't know I don't know why that is. Is it because the lyrics and the vocal are up front in the recording and the kind of the instrumental is purely just an accompaniment? And that also got me on to thinking that the album as a whole felt like a musical theatre soundtrack.
Well, that's my thing. First, Southbound Train is one of the only songs on that album that I did not write. I wish I had. It was by a wonderful New York writer named Julie Gold. But the first time I heard it, I said, I could have written that song. And I believe in story songs. I believe, for me, it's not about the groove. It's not about, it's not about the backgrounds. It's about the story. And that's, of course, because I come from theater. And I come from folk music, which is all about the story. So when I started writing songs, I thought of them as little acting pieces, little, one-act plays. So everything I write is a story, and I'll be damned if my voice is not going to be out in front. The music, the tracks support me. I don't have to fight the tracks. I want to be out front because I want the words to be heard. The words are the most important part to me.
Yeah, I was feeling when I listened, Sometimes was one of my favorites. And when you mentioned that you started and was thinking about folk, and I was like, okay, now I see the connection. Because to me, you have a folk sense, and then probably the songwriter aspect of that just comes through. And yeah, I loved Sometimes. And tell me about the Early Morning Hangers On.
Oh.
Where did that come from? Because that is so different.
Oh, well, honey, now you're talking, that entire CD is the work of one of my favorite songwriters on the planet, the Frenchman, Jacques Brel.
Right.
And I met my husband doing a musical called Jacques Brel is Alive and Well and Living in Paris. He was one of the major stars of the show. And I was lucky enough to wind up being in the show with him, which is where we first met way back when. But I also learned a lot about how to write a song listening to Jacques Brel, because their stories, they're acting pieces. They're so passionate. They're so sexy. They're political. Yes. They're cynical. They're just the best. And that one, Early Morning Hangers On, is one of his sardonic French. Hey, hey, they're all gonna die, so let's get drunk kind of songs. And I just loved it. Yeah, it's really cheery.
Would you believe my high school did a production of Jacques Brel is Alive and Well and Living in Paris?
That a Canadian high school production of Brel would have been a really interesting thing to see.
It was very interesting. Yeah? I don't know if most of the students understood it, but it was fun.
Probably on the edge there. Yeah, it's a little pure, but boy, what a great writer he
fantastic.
Is. Have you ever gone on YouTube and watched him perform? There's a lot of YouTube videos of him, and it is so worth spending your time watching what he does, because nobody was as good as he was, except my husband.
You have to say that, though. This has been a bit of an education. I've got a list of so many things that I have to go away and either listen to or watch now.
Yeah, so you really want to see him. You want to see. Talk about simplicity. That's one of the things I learned from watching him. The whole thing about, as my husband says, stand still and tell the truth. When you're live singing on stage, you don't need to do all this. The less you move, the more powerful you are. And that I watched my husband, whose name is George Ball, is a great Broadway singer. And I watched him doing Brel and said, oh, that's it. Stand still, tell the truth. Works wonders. That's why I'll never be Liza Minnelli.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about your cabaret shows that you're doing now? Like what kind of venues are you performing in? What's your show like?
Well, at the moment, I'm not performing.
Yeah, of course.
At the moment, I walk past all my concert togs and my high heels and wave at them and wonder if I'll ever put them on again.
I hear you.
When I do perform, you know what I'm talking about. This is going to be the last thing to open up.
I mean, I just do community theater. I've been doing community theater for 20 years. I love performing in musicals and things. And to help cope with not being able to perform, some of my theater friends and I have started another podcast where we just talk about local theater and what groups are doing here in our area in Central Ontario. It's been really sort of cathartic to be able to just talk about theater. when you can't perform it. It's
yeah.
so, and there are Zoom things, but it's not.
No, it
the
is
same.
not the same. I mean, thank God Zoom keeps everybody at least in touch. And some people have learned to be incredibly creative on the Zoom. I said,
Oh, for
but
sure.
I put my hand up and said, I'm not singing from my bedroom for anybody.
Yeah.
Just
No, I
never
hear you.
mind. When I do perform, when I do concerts, I perform all over the world, London, Sydney, Australia, Taiwan, and then all over the
Nice.
country, a lot of times, a lot in New York, of course. I've been mostly singing at Birdland or the Cafe Carlisle when I've been in New York. And in LA, there's a wonderful place, and please let it stay open. It's called Catalina's. It's the best jazz club, although I'm not a jazzer. They call me cabaret because cabaret is sort of the catch-all phrase for if you're not jazz and you're not rock and roll and you're not hip hop, but you sing a whole bunch of different kinds of things, you're cabaret. That's fine by me because cabaret is like your refrigerator. You've got ice cream and broccoli and you can do anything you want. So I'm fine being a cabaret diva. Absolutely. So my concerts are usually mostly my own material because it used to be my own material because how in the world was anybody going to hear my songs if it wasn't me singing them? And now I slide in some standards, some things that people know, sometimes a little Cole Porter or a little Johnny Mercer or a little Joni Mitchell, just to give everybody's ears a chance to relax. Because if they don't know me, an entire hour of songs you don't know can wear your brain out. So occasionally, it is. It's an amuse-bouche. Yes, it's like the little lemon chiffon ice cream in between the other things, and it makes people more interested in coming back and hearing what else is original. So it's predominantly me with a little bit of other people slotted in.
Very cool.
And a lot of it is funny. I don't record my funny because funny songs you only listen to once. Ballads you'll listen to forever. But when I'm on stage performing, I can be very funny. And I love that, making people laugh.
Oh, me too. I love comedy. And in fact, I've been attending an online clown convention this week and learning how to do that.
Okay. You have big shoes? Do you put on funny shoes?
I don't have shoes yet, but I do have my clown nose right here. So yeah. So yeah, but I love comedy music is one of my favorite things. And, my friends and I, after show, will go to karaoke, and I like to perform Patricia the Stripper by Chrissie De Clerck-Szilagyi. That's one of my favorite sort of funny things to perform for people. I love it.
Oh,
cool.
Yes.
So I noticed on your website that you have a master class for cabaret. When did that start? And I mean, I'm assuming obviously because of Corona, it's not happening, but will you start that up again?
No, actually, I've taught some Zoom master classes in performance. And also in songwriting. I have discovered that I was asked to teach, out of all places, a cabaret convention at Yale University a few years back, and we had such a good time that I wound up doing it for about 4 or 5 years in a row. And I said, I can't teach. And somebody said, what have you been doing for 35 years? Don't you think you know something? Oh, okay. And then I discovered, hey, I do know something. You certainly say, better if you stand up straight, no, that song is not right for you. So I enjoy the teaching. Yeah. And of course, being live with people is the most wonderful thing, but I can Zoom information. So yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So I suppose our other host, Ria Papagiorgio, couldn't make it today. She's in the middle of a move. She wanted to ask, is there any question that you wish people would ask you, but they never do? So do you want to feed us a question that you want to be asked?
I can't think of a thing. No, I'm so, unless people want to know, how can I find your CDs? I'm always happy to tell people to go to my website and they can find my CDs, or Amazon or iTunes. But aside from that, no.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, on you go, Amy.
Yeah, well, we noticed that you had a lot of acting, like Magnum PI, Remington Steele, MASH, Heart to Heart, and of course, Measure of Man, Next Gen. And then the acting just sort of, is that when you decided to focus on your music, or?
It was a convergence.
Okay.
I was no longer a new face. When I started getting all of this TV work, I was a new face in town.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also kind of aged out at that time. Once you hit like 35, you were sort of in no man's land between the older girlfriend and the mother.
Right.
And I'm sort of in the middle of that. And then the songwriting thing hit, and the singing and songwriting happened. And I said, I followed, it was going that way. And I liked going that way into music. And I was still doing a lot of musical theater, but I wasn't doing any commercials anymore. Thank you, goodness. And I just said, I don't have to do this anymore. If somebody wants me, or if a really interesting, film or television project would happen, yay. But also people started to say, oh, you're a singer. You're a singer-songwriter. You're not an actress. And I can think, hello.
Yeah.
Just watch me.
Right.
Look at my credits. But so I sort of fell out of television land, and it's fine by me. It's fine by me.
One thing that you haven't mentioned, or we haven't asked you about yet, is your work in animated movies and TV shows. So I think, Kevin, you had a list of like Hercules and Xena,
Land Before Time,
like all of them.
Franchise.
Yeah. Can you tell?
The Land Before Time franchise, yes.
Smurfs.
There was Smurfs as well, yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the songwriting process for an animated show?
And for children's songs, they're so cute. I listened to a couple of them. I myself don't have children, and so sometimes it's difficult for me to listen to children's music, but I listen to some of the Land Before Time tracks, and just how fun and adorable.
Well, you know what? It's not that we're not. It's not Baby Shark.
You say it. Why did you say that? Delete Amanda. Why? Now it's in my head.
I know. I call that an earworm.
Hideous.
Earworm. My girlfriend, again, my collaborating partner, Michelle Browerman, is the one who was contacted by Universal about writing some different animated features. And then she brought me in as the lyricist and her as the composer. And we did we started with number 3, with Land Before Time number 3, and we did 14 of them. And it's like writing a Broadway show. You have a script, it's a musical, there are characters, they sing. I'm in heaven. And the fact that there's a script, I don't have to make up the story, and nothing is a love song. Thank you. Come on. We can sing songs about mud and friends and
bullies and yes.
And all that kind of thing. And it's been a huge reward emotionally, knowing that little kids who are now, like, some of them are now in their 20s, know they'll come up to me occasionally and say, you wrote big, 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 big water. And I said, yes, I did. You drove your parents crazy listening to big, 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 big water, and I know that I'm a part of the growing up of a lot of children in a very benign way. And that makes me very happy. I love writing for animation.
That's awesome.
I was wondering, could you tell us a little bit about your experience attending the Golden Globes and that amazing honor?
Well, that was a complete surprise. That was an absolute shock. And the fact that they asked me to sing it was even more of a shock. Bet was out there in the audience. Bet was in the audience. It was absolutely terrifying. and totally wonderful. I mean, from the minute that they sent a limo to my door to pick me up, me and my husband to go, and then hanging backstage with people like Debbie Reynolds, who she gave me breathing lessons because I was hyperventilating and about to faint. And she taught me some tricks about not fainting.
Good.
And Jack Lemmon and Dionne Warwick. I'd never been in an experience like that, just surrounded with stars and stars and stars. And then to actually win it, which was astounding. And then the fact that Suzanne Summers presented the award and she and I were wearing the same dress.
Oh my gosh. How did I miss this?
She filled it out a lot better than I did. But I got the trophy. It was an extraordinary experience.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Interestingly, about the rose, I know you probably get asked about the rose like more than anything else. The rose, there's a really nice version I like that's in with guitar.
Oh, yeah, that's with me and Vince Gill, yes.
Yeah. So I know the rose because Bette Midler sang it in the movie. And so I've always just assumed, oh, that's a Bette Midler song.
Of course.
And then I heard it on your album. I was like, oh, Amanda McBroom has covered The Rose, the Bette Midler song. And then I was reading your bio and I was like, no. Like half an hour before we started recording, I was like, no, she wrote The Rose. She wrote The Rose. Then I phoned my mum like half an hour ago. And I was like, Mum, I'm interviewing Amanda McBroom. She's a bit of a Star Trek fan as well. It's like she played Philippa Louvois. She also wrote The Rose. And she was like, no, really?
Just tell your mum hello.
So it became this whole thing.
Okay, well, here's a good story. A little story. I'm at a theater somewhere here in California, in the restroom at an intermission. It was actually a show I was doing, and there was an intermission, and I was in a stall, and there were some other girls, and she said, oh, I love the way she sings that Janis Joplin song. You know, the one that Janis Joplin wrote? And the other woman says, Janis Joplin didn't write that song. Bette Midler wrote that song. I wrote it like that and said, no, excuse me, I wrote that song.
Oh, fun.
Well, I just have to insert, because I'm telling everyone, of course, but my trainer absolutely loves The Rose. It was his mother's favorite song, and he just wanted me to tell you that. And I'm sure you get that a lot, but it is a very beautiful song. And my trainer yes, he absolutely loves that, and it reminds him of his mother. So thank you.
Would you please what's your trainer's name?
Mark.
Would you tell Mark I said, thank you very much. I really appreciate knowing that. Okay.
Thank you. I will.
Promise.
Yep. I see him next week twice.
Okay.
Amanda, can you tell us about any current project you're working on?
Oh, yeah.
It was the COVID safe project that you're working on.
Writing another animated feature. This will be our third Curious George, which is is a very famous child's thing about a monkey and his human. So this is our third Curious George movie for DreamWorks. And Michelle and I are the lyricist and composer we're working on writing a new musical. We've written a couple of musicals. We're hopefully setting up our first reading with some actors in the next week or so to find out if we have anything. And I'm recording a bit and putting things out on Spotify at the moment because, nobody can come and hear me sing. So I'm slotting some of my stuff up on Spotify. I just did a recording of a beautiful, in honor of Stephen Sondheim, who's one of my favorite composers. I just did a recording of Send in the Clowns, which is one of my favorite Sondheim songs, which we just put up on Spotify last week because it's his birthday. So was it to celebrate his birthday. So I'm starting to plot and plan and record some singles and just putting them up there because at the moment, you never know. CDs are expensive and who knows who's buying. With streaming going on, CDs frequently don't make any money.
Yeah.
People buy it or everybody downloads. So,
yeah, true.
So I'm in the process of trying to learn anew how to continue on
your
in the
website is so
that's my learning
amazing.
curve.
And I found, it's a treasure and it's a buried
Thank
treasure.
you.
So I was wondering, how do you decide like what you're going to share? I mean, what you put on, listeners, you need to go to her buried treasures. Absolutely. The stories that you tell are so relatable, and I just feel like I know you because of that. So what inspired that? And I mean, you really become vulnerable to your fans.
Well, I started kind of writing a blog, which I called Gossip and Goodies a while back. And it was just things like what I'm learning to cook and what I'm doing in my garden. And, you know, just something to fill the time and put up on my web space, you know. And then my friend Michelle started pulling old songs out of her closet and putting them up. And she calls it Eine kleine trunk music. And she would put in, and I said, I have an awful lot of, you know, musical children in my closet too. So I said, I'm copying you, and I'm going to change my blog and call it Buried Treasures, and put, because I write poetry as well, and put up a poem, put up a song that nobody's ever heard, and just chat a little bit on once a month or every other month. Yeah,
it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you've found 3 new fans here, Amanda.
Yay! That makes me very happy.
Amanda, where can people find you on the internet, if that's a thing that you do?
I'm all over YouTube. Amanda McBroom. You can find me all over YouTube. My website is www.amcbroom.com, which is AMCBROOM.com. And that way you can find my buried treasures and recipes and who knows what else. And that also, if God willing and the creek don't rise and we all get to go out and perform again, that will list all the places where I'm going to be singing, which hopefully will include like Glasgow and Ontario.
Las Vegas.
And Las Vegas. I did sing in Las Vegas. You didn't know.
Well, I am going, when you come, I'm definitely going to be there, front row.
Okay.
When you do get invited to Star Trek Las Vegas, they do cabaret shows at the end of the night. Brent Spiner did his last year, and what do those guys call themselves? All those guys who are on DS9, the
Rat Pack.
The Rat Pack. They do like a Rat Pack type show,
and so
yeah. So I would get in touch with the creation people.
I'm telling my manager immediately about this. Yeah. If Brent can do a show. Yeah. I can do a show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and Chase Masterson does one too. So, yeah.
Yeah, she does.
There you go. Oh, I love a new venue. Woohoo!
There you go.
I just have to wear my coolest clothes.
Amanda, we've already spoken a little bit about Scotland, but any time I've ever interviewed a Star Trek actor, I've tried to bestow upon them honorary Scothood. But I think the fact that you've been here so many times and you're a McBroom means that you are essentially Scottish.
Darling, bless me. Bless me. Tell me I'm a Scot. That's what I want to know.
You are. I think all you have to do to be a Scot is to want to be one.
I want to be one the worst way. I remember the first time we ever came to Scotland, and we landed in Glasgow. And I remember we were trying to go wherever it was, and we were in a cab with a lovely, very friendly gentleman, and we didn't understand one word he said. But it was before we understood the accent, and we thought it was somebody from Russia. But now I can actually understand a lot of what's going on in Scotland. But we were driving through the Highlands, and I remember coming around a corner and standing on a cliff was a man playing, in full sporran and the whole thing, playing the pipes at sunset. And I made George stop the car, and I stood there and sobbed for like 30 minutes and realized I said, this is my home. This is there's some old thing about Scotland.
There is.
It's a
magical place, yeah. I, interestingly, climbed technically what's called a mountain this morning, which is like, it's only 2,500 feet high, so it's not mountainous, but I could barely walk up it, and just being up that high and looking at the scenery around it, it made life completely worth living. So next time you're here,
deal.
please come. We'll go on a hike somewhere,
right.
and we'll write a song.
Okay.
Amanda, I wanted to thank you so much for joining us today and being so open and sharing all the little tidbits and behind the scenes snippets and giving us inspiration of what to watch next and who to listen to, and just being such a joy to speak to. So thank you so much.
You made it worth putting on makeup at 9:30 in the morning. I wanted to. This was really a blast.
Thank you so much. Yes.
My appreciation. All of you, please stay well and stay in touch, okay? Thank you, you guys.
Thank you.
This was fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just
my
wonderful.
Pleasure. All right, I'm going to go get coffee now.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you. Enjoy your day. Stay
Have
safe.
a great day.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
You guys, that was so wonderful. She is so talented. Like, there's nothing in the show business world that she can't do. I mean, writing, instrument, harmonies, acting, cabaret, teaching. Am I missing anything? I mean, accepting awards.
I'm so inspired to go and write a song. I've always wanted to write a song, but I've never had anything to write about.
Now you can write about interviewing Amanda McBroom.
Yes.
Amanda McBroom came into our Zoom.
Came into my room.
No, she came into the Zoom.
Yes.
Genius.
Oh, that was fantastic.
That was fun.
I'm glad I was able to be part of this.
What a great guest to have on.
Incoming transmission.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's show and hope you'll join the Facebook group Federation Council Chambers. You're welcome to start conversations with us or add any general Star Trek info you want to share with the group.
If you would like to send us an email, you can email us directly at our almost brand spanking new email address, galaxyclass@ufp.earth. And I'm going to take the word might out of this sentence. We will read your email on the show. You can follow us on Twitter also at GalaxyClassPod.
Please hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a star rating and written review. That helps others to find this show. You can also follow the entire network's podcasts with our master feed by searching the United Federation of Podcasts. This way, you won't miss any of our fine shows like All Good Things, Franchise Fatigue, Always Hold On to Arrow, General Quarters, Mickey's Marvels, and Infinite Diversity. So, Kevin, where can people find you when you're not enlisting in Amanda's master classes?
Oh, I should be doing that right away. But
right?
If I'm not doing that, I am on a couple of other podcasts, True North Nerds and Stage Whispers. And you can find me on Twitter at True North Nerds and in the Federation Council Chambers and all over the interwebs. So, Joe, where can people find you when the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long and you think that love is only for the lucky and the strong?
I thought that was true. That is true, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's for the lucky and the strong. I think that's the case. That's just, I'm always seeking that. But when I'm not, which is never...
They're powerful lyrics, I'm telling you. Yeah.
When I'm not doing that, you can find me on the Federation Council Chambers. You can tweet me on the Twitter at JoeyJoe77UK, and you can email me, joepodcasts@gmail.com. And Amy, where can people find you when you're not singing The Rose in the shower?
You know, not in the shower, but The Rose was one of my favorite songs that I loved to accompany myself while singing. I would just sit at the piano and just sing.
I'm going to do that after this.
I need a piano.
I want to sing that song so bad right now.
Yeah, maybe we will after. Well, but you can find me here on the network where I'm hosting All Good Things. I'm also on Union Federation Podcast talking about the Orville and Star Trek. I'm also on Twitter at Miss Amy Nelson, but my favorite place is the Federation Council Chambers.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
If you'd like to help us keep all of our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network, just like our newest patron, Josh Brewington. Thank you again, Josh. Please go to patreon.com/UFP Earth to get all of those wonderful details.
We would like to recognize our executive producers, Brandon Shemutala, Ken Tripp, Zach Moore, and Tony Robinson. We would also like to thank Zach Tripp for our opening and closing music, and Tony Robinson for our amazing artwork.
Thank you for beaming aboard Galaxy Class, and until next time,
great joy and gratitude.
It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance.
It's the dream afraid of waking that never takes the chance.
Engage.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.